Hi, I'm Erica Orr, and welcome to the Creative Interview here at the Studio Door in San Diego, California. Today, I have the privilege of talking to gay Filipino Scorpio INFJ abstract artist TJ Santana. How you doing today,
Yay,
TJ?
thank you. I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, thank you for being here.
Of course.
And so, that was a mouthful.
Yes.
But I'm just going to go right to the end. So, abstract artist.
Yes.
So, tell us about that.
Yeah, it's sort of been my dream to be an artist is kind of there my entire life. But I didn't really pick it up as a career or thought it could be a viable career till the last 2 years. So I'm like really early in the game. I'm like a baby painter.
A baby painter?
Yeah, so I'm getting my feet wet still in the abstract art world. But yeah, it was sort of, art's been there in my journals ever since I was a kid. It's been on all my notes, doodled throughout high school. And I was a graphic designer first, so that's my trade. I do graphic design by day, and I say that I'm an abstract artist by night.
There you go.
Yeah.
And when you do your abstract painting, you're actually doing it with your hands instead of brushes.
I do a combination of both.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very mixed media. Depending on what medium I'm using, that sort of dictates what part of my body or what brush or kind of tool I'll use.
Okay.
But yeah, finger painting has been really fun lately. It releases the inner child in you.
Like even more?
Yeah, so much more. And I think we don't really pay attention to it too much anymore. So
No.
it's like good to have them out.
And when you do your abstract artist, yours, you're really touching into like the subconscious level. So really with the soul. Like I think you said that your work is an expression of what the soul sees.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit of that?
Yeah. Well, I am a hippie at heart. So I'm very much in tune with the energy that I feel. And I like translating that energy into visual words, into paintings. I like painting energy and movement and vibration. And I've had experiences in my past where I've astral projected. And so sort of that idea of your soul leaving your body to explore these different planes and dimensions. I feel like some of the paintings that I did and some of the series that I've done sort of speak to that visual landscape as far as energy is concerned.
So when you astral projected,
yeah, it was weird. It was in my early 20s. My uncle had just passed away. And I had a series of just 3 experiences where I was able to astral project. And it was very strange. It was like a tickling in my stomach late at night. I woke up and I just realized that I was kind of floating above myself, looking at myself.
wow.
And so it didn't go any much further than that. Sort of swooped back in as soon as I realized I was floating. I was like, get me back in, what am I doing? But the feelings that it sort of left and sort of the residue of that energy has remained even till this day. And I think kind of reaching that with this new work is like really important.
Was that one of like the first moments where you really realized about the whole colors of kind of what the soul sees, like when you had that experience?
Yeah, it definitely sort of triggered my interest in wanting to learn more about energy. So I started researching. I started making friends with people who were either Reiki practitioners or shamans or hippies like myself, and I started learning about chakras. And so I feel like the colors that I use and the colors that I assign meaning to are usually a representation of the energies that I picked up on. It's the feeling, because each chakra has its own sort of color and meaning. And so, for example, yellow, I love using yellow, especially these days. It's the color of your solar plexus, and it's very creative. It's a lot of manifestation and willpower behind it. And so sometimes I come away remembering those astral projection experiences, knowing that that creative color yellow is something that's supposed to bring that experience back into life.
Well, I know that they say that when, especially if you're trying to balance your chakras, to bring that color, like wear that color and surround yourself with that color.
Yeah.
Have you ever done work or through your creative process where you have maybe like someone has commissioned you to do a piece and you do with their colors that you can see or you can feel or anything?
No, it's so funny you mentioned that. I haven't yet. No one's approached me, but at some of the events that I've done, I've seen people do these sort of live caricatures on their digital tablets, and they'll have a screen set up and they'll print like your caricature. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if at one of these shows I actually like talk to people and sort of just get like, some familiarity with them and like just paint what I see from them.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a really fun thing to do at an event.
Yeah.
Because I don't read people like in the typical way, but I get a sense of like who they are and just their mannerisms and their characteristics sort of like give me these energies and these colors. And sometimes I'll paint a piece remembering something that like my friend and I were talking about yesterday. And I'm like, this is their energy. This is very much their energy. So yeah, I would definitely love to do that.
Yeah, that'd be super awesome. Would be a cool commission, right?
Could you be the first one?
Perfect, yeah. So you're also very big into nostalgia and time, energy, and space. So can you explain a little bit about that and how that is an important part of your creative process?
Yes. The themes that I love creating work with are these ideas of time, space, and line. Time being sort of this momentum, this movement, space being the environment that I'm around, the reality that I create, and line being these sort of points of history that create this sort of trajectory of this forward motion. So for me, it's very nostalgic to go back into my history and remember stories that my family has told me and to sort of incorporate that somehow. Yellow is not just like this amazing energy point in our body, but it's also one of the colors of the Philippine flag. And when I was a kid, there's a story that my aunt has sort of circulated around the family that she took me to one of the protests for the Philippine People Power Revolution. And she donned me in yellow. So I was wearing like a yellow bandana, like a little, I don't know, like toddler's outfit for, in yellow. But it's sort of this color that's sort of been with me since like my time began. And so I want to bring that sort of memory, that feeling of connectedness with my family and like my home into where I am now. And I think that connection, that line is what really intrigues me.
So you're very focused on yellow, which is manifestation and power. So how are you using that to manifest your art career?
That's a good question.
Because it's very powerful. That's like your power center.
It's super powerful. And I feel like, well, I'm just gonna back up real quick before I get to this yellow. Somebody recently gave me a crystal, and a crystal hasn't made its way to me in a long time, and it's oakenite, and it's a crystal that's used for manifestation and bringing your desired reality into fruition. And so I've had it with me for the past like 2 weeks. I've been carrying that with me, and a lot of interesting things have been popping up, like really cool opportunities.
Yeah.
This being one of the biggest ones, right? Being a creative interview. But no, it's bringing a lot of opportunity. I think focusing on the color yellow has sort of expanded my thoughts of what my art could be. So now it's sort of reaching past the canvas, reaching past wooden panels and making it onto walls, which I think is like creative expression at its finest. Like to begin interacting with like not just your reality and your environment, but like the greater landscape at whole. I think that's very representative of the solar plexus attention that I've been giving.
And you worked on your first mural yesterday.
I did.
So that's exciting.
It's super exciting.
And so where is it at in San Diego?
It's in Barrio Logan. It's off of South 26th Street. So if you're a fan of Cafe Moto, grab a coffee or a flat white, which is my favorite, and then just walk across the street, and literally the first alley that you see there is a collection of really amazing graffiti artists who so kindly invited me to do a piece.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Isaiah Crow, he was the one specifically who asked if I would want to collaborate.
So was it like this piece here that you brought?
It's very similar, yeah. Some of obviously there's yellow.
Of course.
Yes, I started the wall with the yellow line. Yeah, it's funny, sometimes yellow will make it in the very beginning of a piece, or sometimes it'll come later. So here, it's more like yellow wanted to be included, and yellow wanted to be the foundation for this composition. Whereas the mural yesterday, I started with a yellow line. Yeah, so it's very much similar to a lot of the mark making that I've been doing lately. There's lots of white. It's acting as like punctuation for different sentences strung across the composition. And so there's lots of white on the mural too. And
then so working from abstract art where you're working with your hands and with brushes, and then you say you're a graphic designer by day.
Yeah.
So what do you prefer, a medium over the other?
I don't. Even though I left my career as like a full-time graphic designer for like a marketing team, I still feel it's very important that graphic design remains as a tool. So I always say that it's going to be like a tool that I'm going to let it evolve and evolve with me as I become an artist further along down the line in my career. But I don't think I could choose one over the other. For me, graphic design is problem solving. With painting, it's more like I'm trying to interpret something that's otherwise intangible. Graphic design for me is very tangible. You are given a problem, you're asked for a solution, a creative solution, so there's that link. But the outcome, the product is so different. There's like pamphlets and brochures and websites and social media campaigns. And
Yeah.
it's not so much a direct interpretation of like the consciousness that I'm experiencing, but it's definitely helped me market myself as an abstract artist.
How's that?
Being familiar with social media marketing campaigns
That makes sense, yeah.
Knowing what designs work well for social and what'll look good on a website, like how to save images, what type of resolution, like I'm set. So although I would love an assistant to like help me with these things, at least I know that I have a good solid foundation in it.
Yeah, and then so you've been freelancing now, you said, for the last year?
Yes, so I have a client downtown, CityWorks.
Okay.
And so I'm sort of on an on-call part-time basis with them. And it's sort of a lot of marketing, a lot of architecture-related graphic design, which is really different from what I used to do, but still really cool. And they've given me some amazing projects.
So you're able to focus now more on your art because
Yeah.
you said you're a baby artist,
Yes,
right? So,
yes.
and we all know the business side of art is very labor intensive as well.
Yeah.
So being able to have some type of consistent income coming in and being able to focus on your art, it's like a win-win for you.
Yes, don't quit your day job. Yeah, like when you're just starting, don't quit your day job. I'm so grateful that I have graphic design as like a tool because, yeah, it's paying for paint supplies, like.
Yeah, paying your bills too,
Yeah,
right?
and paying for, my bills, credit cards and cell phone bills and
Yeah.
living in San Diego. But yes, it's definitely funding a lot of the art that I'm doing now.
So you used to work for AIGA, which is the American Institute of Graphic Arts.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Because you volunteered there, right?
Yes, I volunteered there. I was a social media chair.
Okay.
So I've had a lot of familiarity with social media. It was really cool, especially coming out of our institute, and that was my major. It was really cool to get that opportunity. I co-chaired with a friend, and it was really interesting to see the whole process of putting together a conference. They put the Y conference on every year, and they always choose a theme that's different and innovative and inspiring for upcoming graphic designers.
Yeah.
But it was really cool, very labor intensive as well, lots of work, lots of deadlines, which is like, you get used to it as a graphic designer, even as an artist, but sometimes it's flexible. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. I think it was really fun. It was lots of fun to just get in touch with the community.
So when you're creating for something for graphic design versus creating something of your own personal art, do you come at it in the same aspect, or are you approaching them in the same way?
It mirrors it. So I do get into the same headspace in that I have a process before I begin any design, which is coffee. And then going like on Pinterest or even through my own creative references and creating boards, inspirational boards.
Even before like your abstract stuff?
This is for graphic design.
Right, graphic design, okay.
Yeah. And if anything, I'll look at what the client has sent me to see if they want me to be inspired by anything. But yeah, for the abstract pieces, it mirrors it in that, again, there's a process, right? I'll burn some Palo Santo and do it over myself and over my pieces and over all my tools before I start. A lot of my stories on Instagram sort of start with me like just holding a Palo Santo stick.
Getting it ready, right?
Yeah, getting it ready, getting into the right sort of vibration and energy and mindset. Yeah, but it's the same thing for graphic design. I want to get into a certain graphic designer mood before I begin any project.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important for any creative process to set the intention, make sure that you're there.
Yes.
And I know that's very important to you.
Yes.
And last thing I wanted to talk about is you mentioned about how important networking is to be an artist. So can you share with us, because you call yourself a baby artist, so can you share with us what you've been doing to market yourself?
Sure. Yeah.
Like getting yourself out there and getting your work seen and how you got on here.
Yeah. Networking, like I said, is very big. I didn't really set out my freshman year of this art career with the intention to network, but it sort of transformed itself into my life as a goal later down the year. And so it started with Art Unites. I'm a director of marketing for public relations for Art Unites, and I went to one of their events, and it was business strategies for artists. They had different speakers talk about their career and their sort of life journey in whatever respective fields they were in, and you know, just offered some advice to people who wanted to come out and hang out and have a coffee for the day. And that's where I met Blanca, Blanca Bergman, the founder of Art Unites, and we started talking, and you know, a year and a couple months or a little less than 2 years later, like here I am.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of networking. It's definitely just making those connections and making sure that they're real connections and not because there's, you know, an end to the means that you have currently or that you're looking for. They're genuine connections that you want to not only infiltrate the world with your art and your ideas, but you want to see your fellow artists do it too. And I feel like Blanca, especially with Art Unites, has provided that platform. And so marketing myself at these events, showing as an artist at these events, for anywhere from like the Casbah to the Kensington, really innovative sort of collaborative spaces that invite all genres of art, not just visual, but music and dance.
That's right. I actually do want to touch on this last piece. So you actually did an art installation for, I think it was an Arts Unite project where you did live painting,
yes.
and you had the lights and the videos.
Yeah.
How did that idea come to mind? I saw a video of it on your website and it was fascinating.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. It was really fun. That space is just like, it wants you to be really creative, you know?
Yeah.
But the current director at the time had developed this theme, this idea of duality, and that was the theme for that specific event. And so they asked me to light paint, and I was thinking, all right, how do I incorporate my artwork with this theme of duality? And so I thought, neon paints, obviously. Like, so it was, you know, you see it one way when it's, you know, under a normal light, and then there's this dual aspect to it with a black light.
That must have been a really, really cool experience.
It was really fun.
Well, where can people find you if they want to learn all about your new upcoming events and artwork and shops? Because I know you got merchandise too and stuff.
Yes.
Just killing it, man.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, appreciate it. All of my social media is all the same. So it's at TJ Santa Ana, TJAY, Santa Ana, like the city. My website is tjsantaana.com, and you'll find my store there. But I'm really active on Instagram with stories and latest works and latest products. So your best bet is to go on Instagram and add
Perfect.
me.
So that's where we can really see your process,
Yes,
right?
always live, yes.
Always live.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, TJ, for joining us
Thank you,
today.
Erica, for having me. This has been amazing.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And until next time, stay creative.